Some people's fears are the odds of doing something and succeeding at it are so slim that it's not worth taking the risk to quit like for instance, in the case of the Winter Olympics. Yeah, I knew going in, my odds were so slim to be in the Olympics. So for some people, it wasn't worth quitting their job for 3 months to go try just to fail and then have to go back and ask for their job, which is hypothetically kind of what I did. I mean, I didn't have to go back and ask for it. I took a leave of absence. My employer was not very happy. They threatened that, well, we don't know if your position will stay here. We'll still be waiting for you. I said, I totally understand if it's not. Thank you. If it is, I appreciate you tons. If it's not, I get it. You got to run a business. And the reality is it was there, and I went back to it 3 months later. But for people, the risk is just too small to take the chance. You know, there's a saying out there that says if you don't buy a lottery ticket, you for sure won't win the lottery. Your odds are so slim to win the lottery. But if you don't buy the lottery ticket, you for sure won't win it. So if you don't at least try to pursue what it is that you want to pursue, or you don't at least take the action you want to take to, you know, do whatever it is that you want to do for a living or your dream job, then you're for sure, if you're not taking those actions, you're for sure not going to make it. Now, here's the reality too. This is another point. Pursuing big things is not easy, or everyone would do it. However, if you hired somebody who's already done it, then oftentimes it's not hard either. It might not happen overnight. It might be a long adventure in front of you, and you may have to be patient. But in many cases, what I've learned is these big tasks that people pursue, that I've interviewed, who are winners, who are successful, the reality is, they say, is it wasn't that difficult because I had someone who'd already done it telling me what to do. Someone who's already succeeded at what I wanted to attempt telling me what to do. And when I had someone plan out that roadmap for me, all I had to do was follow it. I wasn't the pioneer, I was literally a follower. The pioneer is the guy who has the hard time finding the destination. The follower, once the pioneer's found the destination, has an easier time, you know, of getting to where they want to go. It just may take time. And so if you break it down and choose to pursue it, you know, I think the thing with most of us is we want instant gratification, right? I mean, how quickly do we get information now just on our phone? Hey Siri, what's the temperature? Hey Siri, what time is it? Everything's so instant now that the thought of 10 years of grinding and hustling and putting work in, even though it might not be difficult work, even though the adventure might not be that hard, it's going to take so long that sometimes the time frame turns people off on pursuing it, right? When somebody says, how long does it take to flip a house? And I say, well, on average, it's about 4 months, sometimes 6. It just depends. You know, your plumber, your electrician, your HVAC guy, your roofer, they're so busy right now. They're so busy that sometimes when we get in the home, we demo it, we call up the plumber, we call up the HVAC guy, we call up the electrician to come do the rough work, and each of them are 4 weeks out. So now we're sitting there doing nothing for 4 weeks, and then you try and call, and you know, these are guys we have relationships with. They're just so booked because they have relationships with others. So you have to, you know, sit there and hang tight and wait for them to show up, and maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 3 weeks, whatever it may be. By the time it's all said and done, right now with the market the way it is, unless you have your own personal crew that work only for you, an average flip is probably about 4 months, right? On average, yeah? There can be some that are much, much quicker, and there can be some that are much, much longer. But on average, it's about 4 months. And I've had people tell me, well, if I quit my job and I could get a flip, because let's just say hypothetically someone wants to fix and flip a house for $40,000 profit, right? For some people, that's their annual income. And they're like, oh my gosh, I could make my whole income in a 4-month period. I would totally quit my job, right? But the problem is they don't have the ability to quit for 4 months to wait for that paycheck, so they just don't get started. So sometimes the time itself is holding people back. You know, they say, what's the best way to eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. So in many cases, you know, my advice to these individuals when they share that with me is, well, I just can't quit my job. I was like, well, nobody said you had to quit your job. You know, and these individuals are like, well, I'm going to do the work myself. Well, great, do the work yourself, but do a little work every night after work. You know, it's going to take more than 4 months. It might take 8 months. You might double the time. But if you don't get started, it'll never happen. You know, if it takes you 8 months and you make 40 grand, and then you can quit your job and go do this full time, then, congratulations. I'm not saying that's probably a good idea. If you do one successfully, it doesn't mean your second one will be successful. It's going to take there's going to definitely be a learning curve. But hypothetically, it'll get easier if you just get started. So in many cases, the problem with individuals is they are either too involved in their current routine, day to day, maybe their current expenses, their current financial obligations, that they just don't take the time to take little steps. They just don't take the time to get started, which at the end of the day is probably the worst thing that you can do, is not get started. I mean, if at least you get started, you're making your way towards your destination. Now, it might be a long time before you get there, but at least you're on your way to get to your destination. So on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we're going to come back and keep discussing the importance of doing what it is that you want to do before that inevitable day comes when we all pass away, or we're all on our deathbed wondering, what if I would have just gone and done that? Or, why didn't I play with my family more, my kids more? Why did I have to work 50 hours instead of 40 hours? What did those 10 extra hours get me? A nicer car? Was it worth losing the time with my children? We're going to continue this conversation when we come back from commercial break. With smartphones and technology making life a little easier, the Snap Leash has also been designed to make life a little easier for you and your pup. Whether you're out on a stroll in the park, or possibly a walk through the city, or maybe even a hike up in the mountains, the Snap Leash is the perfect leash for you. The Snap Leash can conveniently and easily convert into 7 types of leashes, making the Snap Leash the most convenient leash in the world. What other leash do you know that is 7 leashes in one? With the Snap Leash having appearances on the Today Show in New York City, TV 47 in Dallas, Texas, and ABC 4 in Midday, Utah, you are definitely going to want to take a peek at what the Snap Leash can do for you and your best friend. Make life a little easier for you and your pup, and visit www.snapleash.com today.